Good morning, welcome to my channel, Love Answers, and I hope you're all well. Today I'm just going to do a little bit of a kind of summing up of the book chapters. If you've been checking out my videos, then you may have read some of the chapters. At the moment there's the first two chapters of my story, and I've broken them down into kind of small sections so they're not too difficult to read. So if you haven't read them, go have a look at them and check them out. And what I'm doing kind of at the end of each chapter, I'm doing a summing up of how I view my story now. So this is kind of 10 years later, and I'm looking back and kind of imagining I'm giving advice to that person. Because obviously I'm a completely different person and I've been on a very deep spiritual journey, so I see everything very differently now, and I thought that would be a great way for my channel to just share my views now, because it's always when we look back we understand things differently, or we understand things more clearly, and combined with kind of the spiritual journey that I've been on, which is what I teach in my everyday job, on my everyday work, I thought it'd be really nice to just kind of give you my views on each chapter at the end of the chapter and the kind of elements of that chapter. So the chapter that has just kind of run is Not Wanted, and this chapter's basically about rejection and loss. And it's amazing going back to this, because obviously I haven't gone through this story for, I don't know, maybe 7 years. So going back to it now, it's just so amazing because I just see it so differently. And I can almost look at that chapter and say, you shouldn't have done that. That was okay. That was silly. Oh my God, you're out of control. And I think that's something that we all go through when we have rejection. The first thing that's triggered when we have rejection is an emotive reaction. And when we have that emotional reaction, we lose ourselves, we lose control. And when I look back at that, I think so many things I said in that moment, in that chapter, that were many truths, but there were also many irrational, many irrational things that came out, because it was driven by emotion and not by balance and logic, and more importantly, not by understanding. So when we want to heal the heart, when we've gone through heartbreak, the first point of call is to try to understand. That's what because we're totally in fear. We're in fear of the unknown. And when we're in that place and in that kind of anxiety and all-consuming kind of negative emotion, then we lose ourselves, and the only way we can come out of that is understanding. And everything I'll be sharing on this channel will be about understanding when you're going through challenging situations or relating to loss or heartbreak. But also I will be running a course that will be coming up shortly, which will be basically steps on the journey to unconditional love. Because what I've learned is the only way we can heal ourselves from heartbreak is by absolutely connecting to the pure unconditional love and giving that to ourselves. And then once we give that to ourselves, we have the ability to give it to others, no matter what their actions are. And what you'll find, you'll be able to be pure, be unconditional, and if people react negatively, or they behave emotionally, or they behave irrationally, what you'll be able to do is to look above that and give them love back. And eventually that negative emotion will turn into positive emotion, and then things become harmonious. So if you want to learn how to tap into unconditional love, which absolutely helps in every area of your life, in your personal relationships, in your work relationships, in your family, with your friends, because you can elevate and you can see it from a different perspective. and you can empathize with compassion, and you can look at, and maybe someone's doing something horrific, but you can absolutely step out of it, rationalize it, understand it, gain the wisdom, and then not react in the way that you maybe possibly would react if you didn't have the ability to connect to that compassion and that love. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go back to something that's in that chapter, in the Not Wanted chapter, and this is basically the most important thing on that journey of healing. And I'm just going to read just a little small section of it right at the very end. And it's something that I realised, I had that realisation then. And now, having gone on the journey that I've gone on, I absolutely know that nature is your healer. And I'm going to teach you in the course how to absolutely tap into nature and to become one with nature and to heal with nature. So the bit that I just want to read to you is, I have to keep aiming towards life. Like nature, the more life you feel, the more you will be able to understand the loss. It all has to be for a greater purpose. It just has to. And that is 100% true. It will be for a greater purpose. You may not see it now if you've just gone through massive heartbreak or loss. You know, you feel like you're the only person in the world experiencing it. You feel you'll never, ever, ever feel any different, but 100% you will. And then nature understands life continues. Life must always continue, and nature has mastered this. It accepts, it feels the emotion, it feels the pain, and then it lets go to allow for the new. Nature has the answer. And I mean, I wrote that a long time ago, but that absolutely applies now. It's 100% the way we heal. And it's really interesting. I live near the water, and because it's spring, all the baby ducklings and the baby blackbirds and the baby seagulls are all kind of being born, and it's the most heartbreaking time of the year because, I mean, probably most of you know, but you know, like for example, the ducks, they have something like 12 ducklings, and maybe 1 or 2 will survive because of predators. And it's been really interesting this year because the mother duck actually decided to bring her chicks outside on the water where I live, and I watched her lose her her ducklings, because that's nature, that happens. And she grieved for a couple of days. She was traumatic for the first day, looking for them. The second day she was still unsettled, she was still looking, and she sat where they were. And then by the third day she started eating, and I thought that was quite amazing because nature understands. It understands that it doesn't have the same intensity of emotions that we have. Yes, she felt the emotions, she had the grieving, but it was a couple of days, and then she was back onto her circle, back onto her life. And I think when we go through heartbreak, we get so absorbed as human beings into the emotion, and that's natural, that's normal. And you know, it's absolutely, there is a healing process where we have to grieve. But I think there comes a time where you have to shift that emotion having control over you, because what happens, you can get lost in it, and you can get lost in it for a very long time. And in that, through that time, you are wasting precious lifetime. Because when I look back and I think, okay, I had a project, I had something I was working on, so I had no choice but to stand up and continue. That doesn't mean that I didn't, as you probably read in the story, you know, I had time out and I went to the middle of nowhere and cried my tears alone, to just, you know, cry the tears and write down my feelings. And that's something I recommend every single person to do who goes through heartbreak. Go write down your feelings. It doesn't matter what comes out, just put it onto the page, because when it's on the page, it's out of you. It's not in your head, it's not playing over, and you won't feel the intensity of the emotion. And so much about what I want to share is not about, oh, this is the cure, because it isn't about a cure. You know, we're not looking for the cure, we're looking for easing the suffering to enable us to grow, because that is what life's about. It's about understanding, and unless we suffer, we cannot understand. Unless we suffer, we cannot learn. Unless we suffer, we cannot grow. But it's the length of the suffering. And what I want to share with you in the course that I'm going to be running is basically I want to reduce that suffering. So instead of grieving for 10 years or 15 years, you'll grieve for 6 months, and you will then be able to connect to your higher purpose and exactly what you want to achieve in life. And when you connect to your higher purpose, you'll be walking the path to your destiny. And if you've lost a relationship, another relationship will come in. And even though you probably feel, well, there's no one else on this world, on this planet for me, there's many different relationships, there's many different kinds of loves, there's many different experiences, and there's millions of people. So, you know, and that's not being disrespectful to the relationship or to the loss, because yes, if you're in the grieving process, you have to go through that. You have to go through those moments of absolute longing and absolute aching and absolute pain. And when you're going through it, 100%, you never ever feel like you're going to feel any different. And I'm sitting here today saying, well, I don't feel longing, I don't feel aching, I don't feel pain. And yet, if you read the story, you'll realize that I was an absolute emotional wreck. So yeah, and it's an amazing journey. I think if you've been heartbroken and you've experienced loss, it's a gift. And I think I've always looked at it like that, even back then, in the sense of, if you hurt, you can feel. If you can feel, you have the capacity to create something great, because everything great comes from love. So if you have that level of depth and that level of feeling where you're absolutely flawed, then imagine channeling that into you, into the positive, into the new, into the future. So yeah, I think so much of it is about understanding and elevating on that journey, that spiritual journey, to pure unconditional love. And that is exactly what this channel is about, and that's exactly what I want to share with you. And I decided to share kind of my story because I wanted you to understand that no matter how lost you are, or how confused you are, or how much you don't understand of emotions and feeling and how the mind works and all of those things, no matter how lost you are, you can always come into clarity, into understanding, into sense, into logic, and use those tools to actually move your life in the direction that you want to move it in. So hopefully there's something in there that will help. And like I say, when I run the course, there will be steps from each part of the journey. So kind of the first step, which is this step right now, which is literally allowing yourself to grieve, allowing yourself to cry. Crying is amazing. Crying is fantastic. Cry as many tears as you can. It's the best thing in the world because it lifts the weight on your shoulders. You feel amazing after you've cried. You feel like you could take on the world. You feel like, oh my gosh, that feels so good. Exhausting, but good. So cry, allow everything to come out. Write down your thoughts. Light a candle every day. And this candle's amazing. It's called Clear Waters, and it smells so amazing. It just smells like the ocean. So go choose a candle, something that you love the smell of, or maybe you don't like the smelly ones, but just something that makes you feel good. And light the candle, and when you light the candle, think that you're bringing light into your life. and you're bringing light into the room. Where there's light, there's life. So light a candle every day just to bring light into that area that you're sleeping in, living in. But obviously blow the candle out if you're sleeping, but you know, just bring light wherever you are. And I'm just going to talk about this crystal now, and this crystal is called kunzite, and it's so cute. I don't know, it's a kunzite heart, but it's so lovely. And this crystal is amazing, and I would recommend getting one of these if you're kind of into crystals and things. I wasn't into crystals, but I got into them about 20 years ago when I kind of started on this journey. And kunzite's amazing for allowing you to let go of your fears. It helps you to find inner peace, wisdom, understanding. It helps you to trust yourself, and it helps with anxiety. And you know, maybe just get a piece and keep it in your hand, keep it in your pocket. Even if necklaces, they do necklaces, just keep it close. Just go through this initial first stage of heartbreak, because it's very, very powerful, and it will help connect you to the unconditional love. I mean, they do say it's kind of, or some people do, but they say it's the woman's stone. Really great if you're a mother and you're dealing with children. It's great for children, just to kind of help them sleep. So just, you know, just explore holding it and seeing how you feel. Explore sitting, holding it in your hand with your eyes closed, and just see how you feel. Just see what feeling you get from it, because at the end of the day, it's nature. It's from Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is the healer. She's our greatest healer. And when we connect to nature, we connect to Mother Earth, it gives us strength. Okay, so I'm just going to do a love answers cards, and these are all based on nature. So I'm just going to shuffle the cards and just give my thoughts. So these are love answers cards. Oh, amazing. So that's very strange. So love answers, and exactly what I've just said. The candle, where there's light, there's life. And it's so important. If you look at the flame is very powerful. It's very delicate, it's very strong, it's very powerful. It has the power to light up an entire room. Take a moment to sit, look at your candle flame. How does that flame compare to you? How delicate is it? How delicate do you feel? But how much strength has it got? How does it move? How flexible is it? And turn all the lights off and see how that candle lights up the room. And that is your power, the greatest power. You are the light, and all you need to do is allow yourself to let go, and then we're going to tap into the light, and that's going to be in the course that I'm doing. Okay, I hope that helped. Have an amazing day, and I'm now going to be doing the next chapter, chapter 3, which is My Heart Will Go On. And hopefully you're enjoying the story, and if you do, please, you know, click on like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And have an amazing day, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.